Hi, everybody. It is Megan here, the faithful fibromyalgia warrior. It is Sunday, July the 14th. I hope you're all doing well. So for those of you who may not have realized or seen, I am now back in England, back home. My flight arrived yesterday from Toronto at 6:30 in the morning. And I have now also been 72 hours caffeine free, so no regular coffee at all. And definitely was feeling the effects of jet lag earlier today, but I'm actually feeling okay at the moment, which is great. So let's hope that keeps going. So my topic for today was just kind of a fun one, but hopefully a helpful one. It is summertime. Lots of you are going on holidays, you're traveling, visiting family, friends, or just places you've never been. And a lot of the time you're going to have to take a plane to get there. So these were some tips, life hacks, if you will, on things you can do for airline travel, but also stay carnivore. Okay, this is what I had to do on my return flight. My flight going in was a little tougher because I didn't think this far in advance. And so I definitely felt a lack of good carnivore options. I was quite hungry and I was not getting enough butter or fat in my diet. So I felt it when I flew from London to Toronto 5 weeks ago. This is what I've learned coming back. Okay. So first thing I would suggest, and we should all do this anyways, but eat before you get to the airport if at all possible. Unless your flight is like some crazy time in the morning and you don't feel like eating a whole bunch of eggs or sausage or bacon or breakfast patties, whatever you eat for your meal in the morning, might I suggest either eating a piece of butter. If that does not appeal to you and it's not for everybody, you may want to add a bit of butter to your morning beverage, whether you have decaffeinated coffee, whether you have regular coffee, for those of you who still have it. Perhaps it's a bit of hot water with a bit of butter melted in, and or cut a slice off and eat that. Why? Because it's fat, it's satisfying, and it will help kind of take the edge off your hunger until you can get a chance to eat something later. But if at all possible, eat before you get to the airport, because as you all know, I'm sure, everything at the airport costs it feels like it costs 100 times more than what it should. So even if you find a place where you can get burgers or eggs or bacon or sausages or fish, poultry, any sort of protein and fat, you're probably paying a premium for it. So to save on your wallet, eat before you leave. So for me, I made myself eat breakfast before I left my son's house in Gravenhurst and headed down into Toronto and towards the airport. I made myself some fatty ground beef with a little bit of salt to taste, and that was breakfast. Okay, just a bowl of ground beef that I fried in the pan. And that honestly, that helped me feel full, and I wasn't really hungry till at least, 1 o'clock or 2 in the afternoon. So 7, 8 hours. So that's one thing, because if there's nothing like getting somewhere, especially for traveling, like the airport in particular, although trains and buses might be the same, but especially at the airport, it's crowded, it's busy. Everyone's trying to do their bag checks and their check-in, and you've got all kinds of stuff going on. And if you're hangry, that is going to make the whole process a whole lot worse, whether you have children with you or not. Okay, I've been there. I know we all have at some point. So eat before you go, if at all possible. Even if you just cut off a chunk of butter, eat that, or put it into a hot beverage, let it melt. It sounds gross, but honestly, it's amazing. It's delicious, and it will satisfy your hunger until you can eat something. When you get to the airport, if you've not been able to eat before leaving, or you couldn't because you just were not legitimately, you were not hungry, or the thought of food made you feel nauseous, that's okay. I've been there too. What I would suggest is before you go, obviously you want to get there in loads of time, right? So that way, if at all possible, eat before you go through bag checks and customs. Why? Because they always seem to have better food options before you clear customs and much more limited options once you are through customs. I don't know why that is. Any airport I've ever been, and I've been in a few. I've flown to different parts of North America. I've been to Sweden. I've been to Czech Republic and Germany and Netherlands and France and all kinds of places. I have always had the experience that, for me at least, the options that are carnivore or keto friendly seem to be more before you get on the other side of security and customs. You might find something, you could, but it also might be really expensive. So if you can, you probably want to eat at the airport, but before you do your bag check and everything else. Second tip, if possible. I had to, because I was there so early, I couldn't drop my bags off just yet. So I found a place just near check-ins, grabbed a burger, scraped the cheese off, didn't eat any of the salady stuff for the bun, obviously. Bit of mayonnaise, and that was it. That was me. I was good. I was full, and that lasted me for quite some time. Now, the other thing you might want to do, if, for example, you didn't want to eat in the morning, you're running a bit late, and you just want to get to your gate, fair enough. Let's say you've cleared customs, you're through, you're near your gate, and now it turns out your flight's delayed by an hour. And so you're hungry. Now what do you do? So depending on what's available, obviously you can try to find somewhere that does something that's heavy in proteins, be it burger patties or chicken burgers or something like that, but hopefully isn't overly expensive. You may find that, hopefully. Good luck. But if you're kind of just peckish, but you want to eat something because you know that your options on the flight itself are extremely limited, here's what I did. I went into a Relay convenience store, which, for those of you of my friends who live here in the UK, it's kind of like a WH Smith, okay? Similar idea. They have sandwiches and, yogurt pots and bottled drinks, and then they've got magazines and a few souvenirs. But what they also had, amongst all the cold sandwiches and wraps and all that, okay, was they had packets of already cooked hard-boiled eggs and tuna pack for like $1.50. Pretty cheap. So I just bought 2 packs, which basically worked out to 4 eggs. Now, I cannot eat egg whites, as I've shared with you in other videos. I can't tolerate them. So that was easy. I just opened up the packs, peeled off the cooked egg white, and just ate the yolks. 4 egg yolks, had some water, and you know what? That was actually quite satisfying. Hard-boiled egg yolks are a bit dry, so you want to make sure you have something to drink probably, so you don't, start coughing and choking. But that was a new thing that I just thought of this return flight. I saw the eggs. I knew I couldn't have the whites. Got rid of the egg whites, ate the yolks. Awesome. And honestly, I was not super hungry even a couple hours later when the dinner service came out. Now, any of us who've flown, we know that the portions are microscopic and not super filling. And almost everything on there is a processed carb. Pretty much, because I guess for food safety reasons, it has to be. You're not going to get like a single burger patty. If anything, you'd get like a quarter of a piece of a burger if they were to ever serve that on a flight. So the options, the food choices are extremely limited. Everything they serve, every meal they offer, always comes with some sort of bread or roll and a little packet of butter. So I ate the butter. On the flight back to London, it was either pasta, which I obviously didn't have, or chicken cacciatore. So I had like six pieces, 6 little chunks of chicken. There was very little sauce on the chicken, so that helped because I don't do sauces. So 6 pieces of chicken and a little packet of butter, which was not amazing. But because I'd had the 4 egg yolks not too long before, that actually kept me satiated and feeling quite full throughout the flight. And I actually managed to sleep a bit, and yeah, overall felt pretty great. So that was kind of what I figured out. It was if I make sure to eat something really protein, fat rich, dense, and nutritiously dense and satisfying, like in my case, egg yolks or the whole egg, if you can tolerate them, load up on that. And that way, whatever they happen to offer for the meal, it'll at least help tide you over. Now, if I had been thinking further ahead, and if I felt I had more time, I probably would have, they did actually have a build your own hamburger restaurant, but the line was massive. We're talking, there's like 40 people lining up, and our flight was due to start boarding in half an hour. By this point, I was not going to make it. But sometimes you get lucky and there's options like that. So as long as you got it all with you after you've cleared customs, then do that and get the burgers. The patties without the stuff. Wrap it up, and that'll get you through the flight. So that way, if you get these microscopic offerings of meals, you're good. So some of you have probably already figured this out or have done this. This is kind of just what I did this last flight, because I have spent too many times on an airplane wishing I'd eaten something carnivore and fulfilling before getting on the flight, and instead of hoping that maybe there would be something I could have whilst I was on the plane. Because it's not like you get a whole wide range of menu options. There's a carb option and a less carby option, and everything is packaged or processed to some degree. So not great. But that definitely helped. Absolutely, for sure. Probably my best flight experience, because like I said, I made sure to eat the butter off that came with the meal, and the little chunks of chicken, and I had the egg yolks like within half an hour of boarding. I think that's the other secret, is eat something that is nutrient dense, if at all possible, within a half an hour of your boarding time, because then that means you're fuller and you have less time. You know what I mean? You have less time first before you get on the plane, and second of all, waiting for hopefully something half decent when you're on your flight, in which case you're stuck because it's an airplane, not a restaurant. You can't order it as you would like. So anyways, I would have to say that yes, my jet lag was horrific this morning. I felt so conked over the head. And I also know that part of that is because I'm 72 hours caffeine free. Yay! I'm so proud of myself. And my go-to whenever I have struggled with exhaustion, and especially with jet lag, is to load up on coffee. Haven't done it once. So that is actually going really well. I have a feeling the jet lag is probably going to kick my butt for a couple more days, but I don't think this time around it's going to take the full 2 weeks. It normally does for me to feel back to normal. And I think a big part of that is because I went through the worst of the detox from the caffeine yesterday, and I'm actually starting to slowly feel better bit by bit. But definitely keep me in your prayers, guys. I want to stay strong. I want to stick with it. I already feel much better without the stimulants in my body. So yay. Anyways, that is it for this video. These are just kind of my carnivore tips for airline travel, if you will. Again, many of you have probably already worked something similar out for yourselves, but for those of you who are maybe just new to this way of eating, and again, whether that's carnivore, low carb, or keto, where you're eating mainly animal products, it is a huge wake-up call. You don't realize how much crap we consider normal, I think, until you say go to a restaurant and see all the sides and bits and offerings that are available, but more so when you're on a commercial airline flight and you see all the packages of garbage that people eat. It's so sad. I don't say that with judgment at all, because for everyone else, if you're hungry, you eat what's there because you're hungry. Whereas with carnivore, it's different. You can say no if you've prepared yourself, taken a few steps to make sure you're prepared, that you've eaten something nourishing and satisfying, and you fueled your body, and therefore you're done now. And you can go a little longer. You can last a little longer. You can go a little longer, telling yourself, hey, I only ate 2 hours ago. I'm going to be okay. And just the reassurance that in actual fact, we are okay. We don't have to worry about, oh, I'm so hungry, what's next? It's, hey, you know what? I had a bit of butter, or I had some egg yolks, or I had a couple burger patties, or I had whatever I had, whether it was bacon, sausages, steak, ribs, whatever you had before you got on the flight. That's enough fuel to last your body for several hours. And so we don't go into that anxious panic mode, thank goodness. Anyways, guys, I hope this is helpful. That was certainly the reason for making the video. This is kind of what I did. I can't believe I didn't think of this before, because it seems so simple now that I felt like, oh my gosh, I've discovered this hack. Well, no, not really. They're selling things like hard-boiled eggs and sandwiches and things like that right by your gate as you're getting ready to get on a plane. Clearly, they know people want to eat these things for energy, right? To satisfy their hunger. So I didn't invent this. This wasn't just me, and I'm the first person to come up with this idea. But it took me a while to figure that one out. Anyways, all the best, guys. Thank you so much for your ongoing encouragement and support. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Should have more content tomorrow. Bye for now.